free to deal with it how you want to deal with it, how you think is best to deal with it. In Thelema, when it comes to the concept of true will, especially, many people have employed various different methods, not just the methods that Crowley recommends. Some people use sensory deprivation chambers and all kinds of Jungian psychoanalytics to help psychologically with the whole thing.
Which I guess is, with Thelema, it's not so much... when you talk about Thelema as a religion, for instance, it may give the impression that it's like a narrow sort of belief system, but in fact it actually incorporates a lot of different philosophical and symbolic. Like there's tons of gods or goddesses that come into play or can come into play, and there's no real limitation on that per se.
No, and it even like you said, it crosses systems. It's cross-pollinated too. I mean, Crowley recommends comparative religion, especially as a basis for study, which is great. We should be studying all spiritual paths, all religions, and discerning for ourselves what's true and what's not. But speaking before about invoking gods, even, for example, you're free to use any practices you think will work and what won't work. Like, throw it aside, get rid of it. In fact, Crowley was, though he's not necessarily a Christian, or in fact he was very against Christianity, he was no stranger to Enochian workings, using angels and various demons in order to achieve certain things. In fact, some of his writings on the Enochian workings and his experiences with that are superior to anyone else's experiences as far as reading about this stuff is concerned.
He was also a self-described Buddhist as well when he received the Book of the Law.
That's the funny part. That's what I was trying to get at the beginning there. Though he received the Book of the Law in 1904, it wasn't until the 1920s that he actually realized what it was and what he had discovered here. At first he thought it was just a session of automatic writing. And so he just put it aside with all his other, because he was a writer as well.
Did he do automatic writing regularly, or?
I don't know if he did on a regular basis, but I assume he did. He was, like I say, he was a writer, he was a poet, he was a playwright, he was a very Renaissance man type of guy, artist.
Mountain climber.
What's that?
Mountain climber.
Yeah, it was also like
a very noteworthy mountain climber.
He had
as well.
actually had some world records in mountain climbing that weren't really acknowledged as well, because he wasn't part of the Alpine Club or whatever it was. So,
oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they contested some of his actual,
It's funny because
records.
the only thing you hear in most of the documentaries about his mountain climbing was that one incident, was it Kilimanjaro or something? It was like the second highest mountain on Earth, and a bunch of people died. And
yeah, it went kind of wrong.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and Crowley just kept going because he's Crowley. He's like, oh, you guys can die. I'm just gonna keep going. Like, I'm gonna get it to the top, whether you guys come with me or not. And it kind of made him look very bad. And
I think they've
it's funny
for that reason.
Yeah, well, it's funny in the documentaries. They always focus on the negative sides of his personality, and there are quite a few of them. But to me, that means a lot, because if you read his writings, there is so much truth. I mean, as far as spiritual work is concerned, his philosophical work. Sure, he may have been a misogynist, he may have been a sadist, he may have been a sexual deviant, or what, however you perceive that. But that's what makes him not Jesus. He's not Buddha. You know, he didn't want to be worshipped. In fact, though he recommends various practices that, you know, if you do this, it should do this, and if you do this, it should do this. Usually that he came to those realizations through, as I say, scientific experimentation with magic. He in no way says, don't listen to me. You know, it's do it, figure it out for yourself. Don't listen to me. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But he does know what the hell he's talking about, and that's the great part. That he didn't, though I think he may have had a huge ego on him, he didn't want to be Jesus. He wanted everyone to start to figure it out for himself. And that's one of the really great great things that I think Thelema does for our society is that it tells you that you have to figure it out for yourself. You can't rely on the priests to tell you what to do. I mean, that was the whole reason for the Protestant Reformation in like pre-Renaissance or like Lutheranism and such. It was that the church had gotten so
Corrupt.
our way or the highway, right? And they were like, no, everyone should be free to read the Bible. Everyone should be free to pray where they want, when they want. We don't have to listen to this priesthood. And that's sort of the start of a chain of things in Western society, which has led us to where we are. Where I think even though in our society, as I say, we've become overly secular in the sense that we just frown upon anyone who tries to tell us what God is or what beliefs we should have. We like to go, no, I want to figure it out on my own. At the same time, many people are way too lazy to figure it out on their own, and they just expect somebody else to do it for them. And it doesn't work like that. Like especially in this part of the world, we elect a new politician every 4 years or every 8 years, and we expect these people to lead us, to create a better society for us.
Yeah.
And they can't do that in less than a decade. No one can. Everyone's bitching at Obama right now for not doing everything he promised. You know what? He's better than Bush, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Better than Romney.
Or Romney, yeah, exactly. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat by any standpoint, but my point is, if we want our society to be better, then each one of us has to be better.
Yeah.
It's about each one of us doing it ourselves. It's not about getting somebody else to do it. Oh, well, they'll handle it.
Yeah,
No.
that's a lot of people with that attitude. They
Well,
they want everything to change, and they want it to be changed to their way, but they don't want to do it.
Well, and again, I'm going to refer back to John Carlo's lecture before this. He was saying how the path of the warrior is, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to swim across that lake. I'm going to climb that mountain. And no one's going to stop me because I need to do this. And so, you want it done your way? Do it your way.
Do it, yeah.
Don't let anything stop you from doing it. And that's the great part of it. Once you begin to realize your true will, once you begin to realize your purpose, you have to keep going with it. And a lot of the times, there will be distractions, there will be obstacles in your way, and that's just the nature of the beast.
Okay, some of
No
our
pun
biggest
intended.
obstacles is when we allow other people to rent space in our heads, and we listen to those voices more than we listen to our voice of our inner self.
And the inner self is
Yeah.
is what you should be listening to. It's easy to confuse your emotions or your thoughts with your inner purpose. I mean, it's not necessary. Your ego can get in the way,
Yes.
and it will get in the way. In fact,
It jumps in the way.
yeah, exactly. In fact, the closer you get to reaching any kind of truth, it seems like there is more obstacles
And
put
the
in
more
your way.
vicious they can become.
Exactly, and that's why we need to confront our demons and not run away from them. That's why we need to confront these problems head on, figure it out for ourselves, not be scared of it. One of my favorite books that Crowley wrote was Liber Libre, and in it he says fear is failure, and the forerunner of failure.
Interesting.
So even before you do anything, if you're scared to do it before you even start it, you're going to fail. That's the way it is.
And then once you fail, then the worst has already happened. Try again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's true. That's one of the problems is people are afraid to fail, but it's like fail as much as you can because then you start getting it right. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I said before, even though it may seem useless, like I read this book and it didn't even help me with anything. Well, at least then you realize that this is not what I'm about. This is not, at least there's a lesson learned from it. If you were to do a magical ritual and nothing happens, or complete opposite of what you want to happen happens, then you learn from that. And the next time,
Sorry, are you chakras and crystals?
no, O.T.O.